Hi, I'm Ash Coyote, and this is part 8 of my unofficial guide to successful gender transition. Today, we're going to discuss the topic of surgery requirements. As per the usual, let me preface this by saying that I am not a doctor, psychologist, or therapist, and all information presented in these videos is merely meant to educate and help others on their journeys. Surgery is often the pinnacle of our transitions, the moment where a skilled surgeon undergoes a complex series of operations on us to make us whole. But there's quite a lot that leads up to that point. In many cases, it involves seeing therapists, doctors, hair removal specialists, and just a whole lot of unpleasant poking and prodding. In order to get GCS in the US at the time of filming this, we are required to have the following in order to qualify for surgery. Oh, and GCS is gender confirmation surgery. First, 2 referral letters from qualified mental health professionals. Persistent, well-documented gender dysphoria. Capacity to make a fully informed decision and to consent for treatment. The age of consent, which is the age of 18 years or older. 12 months of continuous hormone therapy as appropriate to the member's gender goals. And finally, 12 months of living any gender role that is congruent with their gender identity. Pretty daunting, huh? So let's break this down and talk about each one and what it really means. The 2 letters are pretty straightforward. They are written by a therapist and usually a psychologist or psychiatrist, and they will document what you've gone through in your transition so far. Essentially what they do is they sit you down, interview you, and ask you a bunch of questions. Remember, everyone's journey is different. Don't worry about trying to fit into a box of gender dysphoria for their sake. Which brings us to the next bit. Persistent and well-documented gender dysphoria. In my case, this was done through my therapist as well. I'd been seeing her since I started to transition. Basically, they just want to see that this has been an ever-present issue and not something that you just decided to do on a whim. Next, capacity to make an informed decision for treatment simply means that you need to be of sound mind, and in addition to that, the age of consent for your region. So, where I live, you're considered an adult at the age of 18, and therefore you can make informed decisions on your medical care and treatment protocols. Finally, there's the HRT and real-world experience requirements. These are common sense requirements, but at the same time, they're very restrictive on our own identities in certain ways. Essentially, the real-world experience requirement is saying that they want you to live full-time as your gender identity for 12 months before you're eligible for GCS. Coming from where I did, I definitely took the most issue with this particular requirement because there's no way that I could do so safely given the situation I was in when I started HRT. Getting rid of facial hair and growing out my own hair being the 2 biggest hangups. Speaking of hair removal, if you plan on GCS, start that now. It can take up to 3 years to clear the surgical site with the industry standard electrolysis. This is a very unpleasant process, but worth it in the end. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week for another special topics episode, and as always, if you like what I do and want to see more, please click subscribe.